Welcome to the Autosportradio.com 2017 show. I'm your host, Don Kay. We are live from McGilvery Speedway, 30th and High School, in the beautiful town of Speedway, Indiana. And for those of you coming into town for the Red Bull Air Race, you got to make sure you stop at McGilvery's. They got great service, great servers, and the adult beverages are cold. Tonight's show is presented, as always, by Honda and Honda HPD, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the Verizon IndyCar Series. Got to mention a couple of things. First, as probably most of you are aware, I had a little problem, and I've been laid up and couldn't drive for 5 weeks, and I have been fortunate to get a lot of phone calls and text messages and emails and so forth, which I appreciate. But I had to get to doctor's appointments and so forth, and some people stepped up and helped me, and I want to thank Mike Smith, Dave Kester, who's in here, Chuck Schumann, who's in Tucson, Arizona, and my friend Lance, who brought me here a couple of times, and of course Nina gave us a ride. So I want to thank everybody that helped me out. Things are going great. I also want to mention, you'll notice that we have a new barkeep tonight. Not new, she's back working, Glenda, because Cassie, her daughter Sydney Malone, is having her first birthday, so she stayed home to do that. And I want to welcome somebody who's known in the motorsports world. The family is known very well. Todd Brayton is here. His dad, Lee, they used to build Buick engines for many years, build race cars. Todd owned a team when the IRL first started, and his dad did as well. And I want to welcome him. He'll be here in 2 weeks with his son, Hunter, because they're here for the SCCA. And for those of you who may not say, Todd Brayton, why do I know the name? Because his brother was Scott. Scotty Brayton. All right. Don't forget Sunday, the final race of the Verizon IndyCar Series, the GoPro Grand Prix from Sonoma, California. It'll be televised live on NBC Sports Network. And for those of you who, like myself, have trouble with the internet or a computer, you got to do what I do. Call Jack at Computer Overdrive. He can fix anything. They're located at Lyndhurst and Crawfordsville Road, next to a barber shop. You can give Jack a call and set it up. His number is 317-328-0766. Now, my first guest tonight is a gentleman that we've always enjoyed having. He's an interesting young man to talk to. He won the 2016 USF 2000 series. He moved up to Pro Mazda. He won 5 of the 12 races, finished on the podium all but one time, strangely enough, here at Indianapolis. He was a runner-up, but he's looking to advance, I think, so we'll find out what he's doing. Please welcome Mr. Anthony Martin. You know, overall, you had a good season, very good season. But somebody had one a little bit better. And I was disappointed. I shouldn't say that. I don't know the young man, so it's not a disappointment. But you showed well for yourself, and I got to think that's going to bode well for you because I got to think you want to move up.
Yeah, no, first of all, I'd like to thank Don for having me back on the show and all you guys for welcoming me back. It's good to be back here. But yeah, I mean, the season, even though it didn't finish how we want it to be and on top of the championship or on top of the top step, you know, it was still a great season. I won 5 races. I won the Rookie of the Year this year. And I also, you know, come away and I had a lot of fun this year, probably the most fun I've had ever, you know, racing Victor. So overall, I mean, it was a real fun season and I had a ton of fun. So you can't take that away because at the end of the day, that's why we got into motorsport was because, you know, we thoroughly enjoyed it. And this year has been sort of one of those years where I've really enjoyed it. Even though it was really tough, you know, being second in the championship always is very hard to take in, but you know I've had a ton of fun, and it's definitely been one of those fun years.
Well, one of the advantages is there's a blonde young lady over there that wants to talk to you about your Pro Mazda experiences. She's writing a story trying to keep herself in school, I think. I'm not sure, but she said, "Oh, I'd like to speak to him." I bet he probably will take the time. Do you and Victor get along well?
Before the season, we were pretty good friends. You know, during the season, you know, due to our tough battles and whatnot, you know, there was sort of not much said between us two. But after the season was done, I went up and congratulated him and did all of that. But I mean, no, he's a good kid and obviously a very fast driver. And he was able to just kick me out of the top spot this year.
Now you drove for Cape Motorsports with Wayne Taylor Racing. What else are they in besides the Pro Mazda? I know Wayne Taylor did have some other series he's running. What else do they run besides Mazda Road to Indy program?
They were with Wayne Taylor Racing. I think this year was the first time that they've actually sort of parted and went there both ways. But apart from USF 2000 and Pro Mazda, this year they've just entered into Formula 4. And they're actually competing in that and doing very well. They're currently leading the championship as well. And I think they may be able to win the championship this weekend down in Texas at COTA. So, they're doing very well, and it's looking like they might take that championship. So, very professional team, and it's been an absolute honour racing for them in the last 2 years. I raced for them in my USF 2000 year in 2016, and I was able to come away with a championship then. So they've given me a lot, and we gave it our all this year in Pro Mazda and did everything we could to take the championship.
How do you like the cars? The Pro Mazda. Now there's a new one coming out next year, but does driving this year's Pro Mazda translate now? If you move up to Indy Lights, will you be able to, or is that going to be a little bit of an advancement with the new Pro Lights car?
To be honest, I won't say the current, but the old Pro Mazda, the one that I was racing, it's one of those cars that's a lot different to every other car. It's the driving style is a lot different, and there's a lot of things in the car that you have to do differently that you don't normally do in what we call a normal race car. So it's sort of one of those cars, and if you can adapt your driving style to it, then you'll do very well. And that was one of those things where I was sort of struggling a little bit this year, was just adapting your driving style, because after you've been doing something a certain way all your life and then you sort of have to change it, it's very hard to get out of that habit. So my driving style, it suits more of the USF 2000 and Indy Lights car than it does the Pro Mazda. So it was very tough for me to adapt to it this year. But I think, moving up to Indy Lights, there's obviously a big jump in horsepower, a big jump in aero and grip gain. And I think I'll adapt quite well to it. And I can't wait to get into it.
Have you tested a Lights car yet?
No, not yet. We're working with a few teams to see what we can do. Hopefully, with the top three actually in Pro Mazda this year received a Admit 1 free test for Indy Lights, part of the Mazda sort of giveaway for the top three. So that's kind of cool what they're doing there. So it's a free test day. So we're not sure yet, but hopefully the Chris Griffiths test will be which is in October 21st, 22nd this year, will be the first time I get to steer one.
I just saw a release came out that the Mazda Road to Indy, and Mazda has a tryout from drivers from all over the world to see if they can qualify to get into the Mazda Road to Indy program. And I guess they started USF 2000, which Oliver Askew won this year. He won it last year. The chance to do it, he came in, he won the USF 2000 Series Championship. And I see that they, to get into the USF 2000, they get a $200,000 scholarship. Does it cost that much to run the USF 2000 Series?
Yeah, unfortunately these days with sort of the technology advancements in the cars, everything just seems to be going up in price. So it does suck. But I mean, the $200,000, that's definitely a big chunk of the overall budget for the season. So as well, it'll pay for most of it. You still do have to, sort of scavenge around and find a few more scrap pieces to finish it off. So, it's just one of those things. I mean, you're not going to not take it anyway, so it definitely helps out all the younger kids.
And I see I think they had like 400 or 500 that are qualified. They're going to go and run and see who wins. They get 2 days to run, and the winner gets the scholarship, and off he goes. That's a pretty good deal. Mazda's really gotten into this program a lot, and they really back the drivers like yourself and the guys that are in the Mazda Road to Indy program. So that's good, because there's no other place in the world where it's like that. By the way, Carl, do you remember when you were looking for me, it was scrap? 50,000 was scrap? Let's go pick up 50 scrap money. This guy won as a chief engineer on a 500 winning car. He's got a ring. He hides it because I'll steal it if he lets his hands.
Yeah, you got to look out. He's a smart one in the back here.
I'm guessing, but I would suspect I might not be too far away. You are getting calls from teams that would like to talk to you about moving up to Indy Lights. I mean, first off, that's got to show that they see that you have the talent, obviously. And for them to want to come and talk to you and try and put a program together, that's got to be satisfying.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that we've been sort of working towards. Even when I finished up the USF 2000 championship, they had already sort of, they were watching me then and, knocking at my door. So basically straight after the last race at Watkins Glen, we had a couple meetings with a few people and discuss, for what my plans were for next year. And obviously, it is Indy Lights. That's what I want to do for next year in the 2018 season. But yeah, I mean, we're talking with a couple guys to see what we can come up with. Obviously, unfortunately, it all comes down to the budget. But, we're going to do our best and, work towards it and just do what we can.
Are you getting any attention in America, or is the primary sponsorship you're searching over in Australia?
I mean, we are searching in America. There's a lot of backing back home. Pretty much everyone on my shirt here, the big red logo, Burgess BLA, they're good friends of ours. And they've really helped us basically from my go-karting days. They helped out a little bit there, and it's just progressively been getting bigger and bigger. And they've gotten me to the point, and I can't thank them enough. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely working towards the American side of sponsorship, because it's very hard, especially when you got Australian sponsors. You're taking the money, somewhere else, and it's very hard if they're not a worldwide company to utilize a sponsorship over here. So, we're working with a couple of teams as well that are definitely helping out in terms of the sponsorship for the Indy Lights program. So, I think, a little bit here and there we'll be able to do something and put something together.
You can put some scraps together, you think?
Yeah, just some back, pocket change.
Now, when you were here the last time or the first time, actually, your family is in the drilling business, and you had advanced yourself to where you got a license to be able to work on hydraulics and welding. Have you still got the card, or have you thrown it away?
No, I've still got that. I'll always have that. Once I got it, I pretty much got it for life, so that's always pretty cool. But in the off season when there's no racing happening, I'll probably go back and fine tune my skills there, work on some stuff, and get my hands dirty again. So I'm actually looking forward to that. I haven't really gotten my hands dirty for like 6 or 7 months now, so it'll be pretty cool to get back and get working and fixing stuff.
What do you mean? They don't let you touch the car?
No, unfortunately not. But actually this year they let me, they actually scrutinized all the cars after, when was it, Mid-Ohio. And because of the F4 program, the Cape guys, they had a few guys, obviously working, getting there, going over there. And they needed someone to help pull the car apart. So guess who put the hand up? So, I got to tear my car apart, basically.
Well, that's good. The guys that that had the huge success, like AJ Foyt, he knew every nut and bolt on his race car because he built a lot of them. So, and you don't see that often anymore. And the guys that I respect are the ones that know how to work on a car and understand it. Even as you start, with the karting and you move into midgets, you get the understanding that knowledge goes with you as you climb up. Are you you live in Bloomington? You said you have a friend down there.
Yes, a girlfriend.
Well, yeah. When you go back to Australia, do you say goodbye, or does she pack a bag with you?
No, say goodbye, and that's pretty much how it goes. But she did come over last year for a few weeks. That was nice to show around Australia. She'd never been, so it was definitely an eye-opening experience for her. So yeah, no, but I mean, it's always hard leaving, but I'm always backwards and forwards between racing and Australia. So,
Is the racing here, when you decided to come to America and race, is it everything you thought it would be, or is it more?
A lot more. When I first come over, I didn't realize on the grand scheme of things how big and like beautiful you guys do everything in terms of racing. I was experienced in terms of the Australian sort of market of racing, but then I came over here and you guys just like destroy everyone, especially us in Australia. We don't know how to do it, so you guys have semi-trucks everywhere and it's unbelievable, and you guys just do everything just very particular, and the way you guys spend a lot of time on the cars, it's amazing, and just how you do everything over here is really cool, and I appreciate it, and that's why we're still here. I mean, it just shows how much more professional and everything it is in the American sort of racing industry, and one day Australia might get there, but it's going to take a few years, I think.
Well, I just read a release that said Andretti Autosport has picked up for lack of a better word, a semi company that maintains equipment, trucks, trailers. And he said, when we hit the road for a race, we have 10 semis on the road. What the hell does he bring? His furniture with him? Holy Toledo. I didn't realize he had that many. I never counted in the parking lot, but so I think, wow, it's a huge expense. But the thing that I've always found in the 50, 60 years I've been messing around is the crews love to work extra hard on a car when they got a driver they know they can win. You give them the car to win, and at which you've done, so their efforts aren't wasted. You've won.
Yeah, for sure, and that's what I find is a big thing in racing is the relationships, and not just your relationships between you and your engineer, but your mechanic. I mean, you're putting a lot of trust into him, and so you just have to have a really good relationship between everyone. So that's one of the major points in racing, and it's as much as you're in control of the car while you're racing, it's such a team sport, and you have to work very, very well together, and that's why those relationships are so important.
Coming from your background of racing over in Europe and in Australia, I'm assuming, and I ask you this, ovals weren't one of your big things when you got here. How do you like them now?
I really do love the ovals. I'd never touched an oval until I came to America. I actually, back when I was a kid, before I even started go-karts, I went to the Speedway and watched sprint cars a lot. And I was in love with sprint cars, and I always wanted to get into dirt racing, but Dad didn't like the fact that you had to clean a car after every time you went out. So that's why we got into go-karts. But yeah, I mean, never touched an oval until I got here, and actually Lucas Oil was the first oval that I had ever touched here, and I just love them because they're not just turning left. It's a lot harder than that, and a lot of appreciation to you guys for doing it this long. I mean, I hopped in it, and yeah, definitely extremely hard and difficult and mentally draining as well. It's one of those things where I find the car just has to be, very perfect for you. You can't drive around a problem because 80% of the time you'll probably end up in the wall or something. So you just have to, and we're coming back to the relationship thing, you have to have a really good relationship with your engineer to give you a good car, and you have to give the correct feedback back to him so that you can fix the problem, whatever it is with the car.
It's funny the number of Europeans that have told guys like yourself coming here, oh, an oval is nothing to it. And most everyone will say, oh yeah, it's more difficult to drive an oval than it is a road course.
Yeah, 100%. As I said before, road course and street courses, if you've got a little bit of oversteer, that's fine because, it helps the car and you can drive around those problems. But an oval, I mean, if you got oversteer, then, you're basically packing yourself the whole way around the track. So it's just, one of those things where you just have to get the car really, really good and comfortable. You have to be very confident in the car, and That's why I love it, because it's such a team sort of aspect to the sport. Is it really brings out the teams? I think the ovals, because one, it brings out the cars, and it's a lot to do with car preparation and what you do before you go out, and so that's where it really sort of shines on the teams when you win races.
What do Mom and Dad think that you're now residing almost full-time here in America? Do they come to get a chance to come to watch you race, or do they watch you on the internet like I do?
Most of the time it's on the internet, but yeah, they came for Indianapolis this year, and my whole family actually came for Watkins Glen, so it was good to have them over. I had my brother, my sister, and Mum and Dad as well, so I don't think we had all been together for like 8 months or something, so it was good to sort of have a family reunion. And it was good to have everyone together again. Got to catch up and talk about whatever we talk about. So it's definitely been a long time. So most of the time they're watching over the internet, so it's always hard. They're actually watching right now through the camera. So hi, Mum, hi, Dad. So yeah. But Mum's probably not very happy that I'm over here, but she's letting me do something that I love, and that's what I really appreciate them for, because they're really pushing me to do what I love, and that's racing over here.
Well, see, one of these days you'll be saying to yourself, I remember when you've got the Borg Warner Trophy because you won the 500.
I remember when. Yeah, one day. We can only dream, right?
Well, that's what
Maybe.
The whole idea is, to dream to do it.
That's it. That's the goal.
I would suspect that when you strap yourself into a car, there's only one thing you want to do, and that's win. That's the only reason you're there.
Yeah, we're not here to get second, so that's what we want to do. We're very competitive, and that's our nature, and we just want to go out and win, and that's all you can do, really.
Do you feel safe in these cars? Do you feel that the IndyCar and the Mazda Road to Indy program at Dan Anderson, they have built a car that's safe for you to drive?
They're definitely safe. I don't really think about it though. So
good.
But looking at they're such a safe car, and the technology these days and the safety requirements and aspects in the car is just unbelievable. What they do, and you see some of the crashes these days, and how the drivers get out of the car and literally walk to the medic car is unbelievable. It's quite amazing how far the advancements in safety has come over the years, and it's definitely really good to know that you've got a safe car around you. But I don't think about that part.
Well, you don't have to, because you know the car's safe, so it doesn't bother you.
Yeah.
And then when you think what happened to Sebastian Bourdais, in 14 weeks he's back in a car again.
Yeah.
After what happened to him. Holy Toledo.
Yeah, it's quite unbelievable how safe the cars actually are.
Are you going to be in Sonoma?
I will not be, but yeah, it would be good to. But I think I'll be watching on the telly with that one.
Oh, I see. Well, I think I read today that there should be a couple of announcements. One is that Zach Veach may be announcing his full season ride for next year. And who else did I hear? I heard something else. I forgot what it was. Santiago Uriga is supposedly, he's going to make an announcement. Now he's down in Uruguay, and he's coming back, and I can't imagine he's coming back to sit in the stands and watch a race. So there could be some movement there, and there's a couple of new teams looking around and so forth. So things are looking up, because there's a lot of top talent ready to move up to IndyCar, and you got to find some cars to put them in. But when you're ready to move, they'll have cars.
Yeah, hopefully. There's quite a few old fellas up there, so their time's got to come soon, I hope.
And it was announced that TK presumably is going to drive for AJ, and he said he was. And I got some. Does that mean Connor's out of the car? What it said was he's going to drive the 14. Connor doesn't drive the 14; he drives the 4. So does that mean anything? I have no idea, but hopefully it does. And I don't want to see Carlos go anywhere, but maybe he'll run 3 cars. Maybe if he did that, I could get into. No, I couldn't get into one. Forget that. when you first started racing, what was did you ever anticipate that you would come here and would get into this series and get into the Mazda and start heading to go at 16th in Georgetown for the 500?
Absolutely not. We came over here my first year to basically just, do our best and see what happens. And then, I don't know, we just got, we finished quite strong with the Rookie of the Year. And out of the momentum, the balls just sort of kept rolling and rolling. And, I raced Pro Mazda this year, which we would have never thought we'd ever get to this point. So it's quite unbelievable. I mean, we were fighting for the championship and the scholarship to move up to Indy Lights, and now we're talking about going to Indy Lights. So, it's definitely something that, we would have never thought would happen. Obviously, it was a goal to keep moving up, but it's just one of those things that's just, it's just getting bigger and bigger. And so I'm hoping it continues, and I'm hoping that the ball keeps rolling.
Well, the thing that impresses me is that you got teams calling you. You're not going on beating on doors. Hi, you remember me? You've got teams calling you, which is a good sign that somebody recognizes your talent besides me, and sending you text messages, congratulating you and so forth, which I do pester you with. So
yeah, no, I appreciate that. Any text message is a good message, so it's always good to have the support. I love the support that everyone gives me.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to come up here. I hope your young lady friend doesn't get mad and say, well, you're always running up somewhere, whatever. Thank her for allowing you to stick around and come on the program, and I'm sure some people here would like to chat with you, including that blonde over there. She wants to take some notes. That's what she says. I wouldn't buy that, but that's what she said. Anyway, thanks for coming. Congratulations on an outstanding season. Most years that would have won the championship, but unfortunately, Uncos Racing put out a car with just a touch better.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on the show. It's been great to be up here, and I hope to see everyone very soon. Thank you for having me here. It's been good.
Well, when things come together for your ride for next year, I will be texting you again.
I'll be sure to keep you in the loop of what everything is, what's happening with me. So yeah,
and
no,
Mom
no
and
worries.
Dad, he's going to be here next year, moving up. So get with it. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, no, thanks, mate.
Keep
Thank
an
you,
eye on
guys.
the man.
Thank you.
Anthony Martin. Before my next guest gets out of his bench and starts moving here, I'm going to remind you that tonight's show is also presented by Sam Pierce Chevrolet, located in Daleville. You want to come to the country to see why the best prices are, in fact, in the country at Daleville at Sam Pierce Chevrolet. Just take I-69 north to exit 34, go east 1 mile, and you won't miss them. You want to know what these guys and gals love about the open wheel Indy cars and Indy Lights? You need to go to IndyRacingExperience.com and book yourself a ride in the two-seater. You can look up IndyRacingExperience.com, pick out a date, and in the promo box put SJ1. You get a 50% discount, or you can call Shonda at 317-243-7171. Book it, but mention SJ1. Is it time for insurance for your home, your car, or commercial building? Do what I did. Go to VP Insurance and talk to Mike Pardee. They're located at 5004 West 16th Street, and they'll help you with everything. Give them a call. The number is 317-248-0070. That's VP Insurance, Mike Pardee. He can help you, and he will. 317-248-0070. And if you're a vintage car freak, you need to go to svra.com and subscribe to the Vintage Racing Quarterly. It's a great top-class magazine, and now that Tony Perella owns controlling interest in the Trans Am series, they have a Trans Am magazine as well. You can pick up both of them because you'll find it is fabulous. Both of them are. And the next event for the SVRA will be September 21st to the 24th, the Heacock Classic Gold Cup at Virginia International Raceway in Alton, Virginia. If you're anywhere in the area, you've got to take a ride. You'll see some fabulous, fabulous cars. Now, my next guest is somebody that everybody knows. He is without question one of the greatest open-wheel drivers in the history. He is a member of the Triple Crown Club. There's only 5 guys that won, and he's one of them. He's got in excess of 100 feature wins. and believe it or not, he's still winning. Absolutely the best. The man they call the champ. Please welcome Mr. Dave Darland.
Thank you, guys. How you doing, Don?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. How's things with you?
Oh, it's good. Glad to
Still
be back.
keeping
and,
you busy.
It has been busy. Always is. But, for the last 20 or 25 years, I run 90 to 100 races a year, and come and see you when I get a chance.
Which isn't very often. And I got a hound, and I got to thank Dick Jordan for helping me make it happen, because I let him hound you rather you get mad at him than me. And I hope
always
it
mad
works.
at DJ. Not really. DJ's a good guy. He helps me out on all kinds of occasions, do different things, and he does round me up to come and do the show for you occasionally. And we used to make some trips over to Springfield or DuQuoin and do some radio shows and just promote USAC a little bit. So,
you would think 25 years, you're slowing down. You're not slowing down. You're still winning.
it's still going good. And I was wondering there for the last couple of years, wasn't going real great, but here the last couple of months, has picked it up and started winning some races again, and that feels good.
And this coming weekend, you're hooking up with Butcher, the Butcher Racing Team. You're going to be at Terre Haute and Hobstadt. So you still got teams want you to drive. You don't have to go say, hey, I'm available. They're coming to you.
Well, on occasion I got to make a phone call too, but
oh, really?
It is still going good. Michael Dutcher is owns the 17 car I'm going to drive this weekend, and we won together last weekend down at Putnamville, and we won another race at Putnamville, the Putnamville Clash, I believe it was called, back probably 6 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago. So I've only ran for him 3 times really, and we've won 2 of them, and it's going great. The race car feels good for me, and he does a great job of making it that way, and got good equipment. So looking forward to driving for him this weekend at Terre Haute and Hobstadt, as you mentioned.
Now, I might also mention, for those of you who don't know, they had the induction into the Knoxville National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Among the entrants were Dr. Pat Sullivan, the late Tony Elliott, and this gentleman, Dave Darland, is now a Hall of Famer.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Getting inducted into the Hall of Fame was certainly a one-of-a-kind experience, and I cherish that moment a lot. It was a great time, and getting inducted into the Hall of Fame was certainly from where I started, especially starting out as a kid, just me and my dad piecing together a race car and making it all the way to this National Sprint Car Hall of Fame one day was I never really expected that, and it was quite an honor. I enjoyed the moment.
And well-deserved, as I'm sure everybody here will attest to. I got to think, now I could be off on this, but I don't think so, that probably one of the greatest wins you might have had is the race named after your dad at Kokomo. And you managed to, I think you won it the second year they had it, I believe. And that had to be something to win a race that's named after your father.
Yeah, that certainly was a highlight too. I won it this year for the second time. My dad died in 2002, and I think this was the 15th annual. And then my mom also. It's this year was the Bob and Joanne Darland Memorial Race, so I was able to pick that up this year, driving for Mark Harry in the 40 car. So winning a race in honor of my parents was certainly a highlight and a moment I was very proud of. So.
What got you and your dad together getting into racing? What did he do? Did he drive at one time, or did he just wanted to keep you out of trouble?
No, well, he got me into racing, keep me out of trouble. But he just always he grew up in an era where he was born in '33, so he grew up in the era of hot rods and street racing. A lot of guys around our area had just built up nice rods and just raced down the street and just raced around the county. But he never drove race cars, but he always built and had fast cars on the street and did a lot of playing that way. But he never did race anything. But he got me started racing when I was a kid. Just I started racing quarter midgets when I was 4 years old and started racing when I was 5. But just at the very very young, he knew I wanted to be a race car driver before I did. So he got me started back when I was 4 years old, and have been racing basically something ever since. But my dad got me. We raced quarter midgets all through the quarter midget days up till I was like 14, and then we took a couple years off to build a sprint car, and then just just started playing with a sprint car. Never intended for it to be a career thing like it has been. I mean, it's been great, and I got to thank my dad for getting me started, and and he owned a sprint car for me for 21 years before he gave up the sprint car owning ship too. So,
Do you have a favorite? Now you've won, as I said, you're a triple crown winner. You've won obviously the midget, the sprint car, and the silver crown. Is there a car you prefer to drive? I mean, you've won the championship in all of them, so obviously you like driving all of them. But is there one you like sprint cars a little better than the other two?
If I had to pick one, sprint car would be my favorite, but it just depends on what car I'm driving. A fellow back there had me sign a bunch of Steve Lewis midget, back in the Ford days, back in the late 90s or early 2000s. I drove for Steve Lewis in the midget, and that was just a great time. Steve give me a great opportunity, give us a great team. Hired Bob East and Kelly Drake were the team that kept the thing going, and they did a great job. And it was backed by Ford and the Beast chassis. So it was a great era of driving midgets for me. I loved those days of driving the midget for Steve. But and Galen Fox, driving Galen's Silver Crown car for 15 or 20 years. We had a lot of fun, a lot of success, and driving for him was a lot of fun too. So I can't say, if I got a good race car on that particular night, I enjoyed driving it.
How much is experience over some of these young kids who haven't had any sheet time? They haven't found that the fence doesn't move if you hit it. How much does your experience help you when you're racing these younger kids?
Not much.
Oh.
Not
sorry.
much. These kids are good, and they're aggressive, and I've had to change my style, a bunch of times. Back when I used to race with Bob Kinzer and Jack Hewitt, my style wasn't the same as it is, racing with Kyle Larson and Rico today. It's completely different style from what I started, and I guess if I used to race with Jack Hewitt and Bob Kinzer like I do with Rico today, they'd probably whoop my ass on an occasion, and I would have expected it.
Yeah, well, the thing that's bothered me, and I'm sure I assume it's bothered you, is you won the opportunity twice to get a license for IndyCar, and you went and tested and you passed it, but you never got the chance. Does that bother you, or are you happy with it? Well, it didn't work, but I'm still going.
Oh, it don't really bother me. I would have liked to, and I still would. It's still not over yet. I still drive race cars.
You said you started at 4 and you've been driving 25 years. You're only 29, so hell, you got a lot of time yet.
Yeah, I've still got plenty of time, but I would like to do the Indy 500. Especially, I don't really want to be a full-time IndyCar driver. I just would like to do the Indy 500 once, or 10 times maybe, but I don't really want to do a full-time IndyCar deal. But I like driving sprint cars, and it just don't. For me, that's what I do. I drive sprint cars, and it's a blast. I love my job, and it's going well, and I wouldn't really change it for anything.
Well, it seems to me, because I am lucky enough to be on Dick's list, and I get the emails of what's going on, and it seems to me the car counts are picking up a little bit. I know when they were at DeCoin, they had probably the best Silver Crown car count they've had in 10 years. Is USAC on the way back? Is it starting to build, do you think?
Well, it is going good. Andy Hillenberg got that ball rolling a couple years ago, got the series, back, getting a lot of cars and a lot of excitement going on. So, the Silver Crown division is, looking pretty strong again, especially on the dirt. And I reckon, a couple more years that, the pavement's going to pick up a little bit too, I assume. But, the Silver Crown division has picked up a lot, and it's good to see, go to Springfield and DeCoin, over the last couple of months and get, near 40 cars at those events is, almost back to the old days of, back in the 90s when I first started driving for Galen, and getting, we'd get 50 or dang near 60 cars at, the dirt tracks. And so it is good to see, a lot of cars, the car count getting back up, and the excitement of, Silver Crown racing again.
And I've noticed when I look over the list of who's there, some of the ones that have been sitting on the shelf collecting dust are now been
Yeah.
washed off and they're back racing again.
Yeah, it has. Galen drove his car, ran his car with Ricky Hood in it last year for a few races. That was pretty exciting to see Ricky back in, Silver Crown car with Galen, and so had to knock a little dust off Ricky too to get him back out.
Is there anything in your career up to now that you haven't done, or is there a race or a track that you wanted to win it and just haven't done it?
Well, the only one I can think of is DuQuoin. I've never won the DuQuoin Silver Crown race. I've tried probably 25 times. Had a couple of good runs and a couple of good finishes. Just never have won a Silver Crown race at DuQuoin. So if I had to pick one, that'd be the one. And one place I always wanted to win at was IRP, ORP. Now I never won a race there. I had a couple of good runs and just never was able to pick up a win. But it's fun running them places, and I wish I would have won. And I hope I still do win at those two places.
Do you have a favorite racetrack that just fits you like a glove?
Well, Kokomo would be, if I had to pick one, that would be my, it used to be Eldora. Eldora used to be my favorite, but it's went a little downhill, I think, for my style here the last few years. Eldora is just not the same now that they've changed it a little bit, and it's just not, it don't work as well for me as it used to, but I used to like Eldora a lot, and I still do, but Eldora used to be my favorite, but Kokomo is, these days my favorite, racetracks.
And I can remember when Tony Elliott would go there, that was his weekly paycheck. He'd win there night after night. Now you've taken over. And they've changed the track around, and sometimes when they change the track, it goes down, but apparently from what I'm told, the guys that are driving it say it's much better now than it used to be.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's a great racetrack. It's been 12 years ago now. They changed it to what it is, and it's basically the same size, just a little bit, wider down the backstretch. They arched backstretch a little bit, and it's just a great racetrack. Though they put a little banking on it and made it, it's racy and fun to drive, and it's always a crowd favorite. The crowd always gets a good race at Kokomo.
And they always get a good crowd at Kokomo, too.
They do, yeah.
Now your son started racing. Is he involved in motorsports at all?
No, he's not.
He doesn't do anything. No, doesn't even wash cars. He doesn't. He's got something completely different. I'll be darned.
Well, he's got a real job, so he don't get to go racing all the time anymore. But we had him in a 600 mini sprint for 4 or 5 years, and then a Focus midget for a couple of years, and it just didn't really work out with me having to do my schedule and find somebody and to take him racing. And when we was doing that, he was just a kid. Well, he didn't have his driver's license until the last couple of years, but I had to have somebody that could take care of the car and drive the truck and trailer around. So it was fun, and we probably should have just stuck with 600 because we could run a couple of racetracks within 30 miles from home, and that went well for 4 or 5 years. And then the Focus car though got too expensive driving, traveling all over the Midwest, chasing the schedule. So that kind of broke me as a race car driver for a living. I didn't have the extra gas money.
Do you do a lot of work on the cars yourself?
I don't really claim to, but I know a few things, but I don't do a whole lot of that.
Oh, you don't help clean it, put it together, tighten the nuts and bolts?
Well, I mean, back when my dad owned a 36D, he and I built it. We did all the work, but these days, like driving for Michael Dutcher and Mark Harry and Galen, those guys, they'd rather me go to the concession stand and get something to eat while they work on it.
Okay. Do you prefer dirt? I mean, you've had huge success, obviously. Or would you be happy if the sprint car started running on pavement again?
Oh, I enjoyed some of the pavement races. I won 2 sprint car races at Winchester in my life, and those are highlights that I'll never forget, and I cherish those moments. And winning a sprint car race at Winchester is a unique situation, and just something I'm pretty proud of that accomplishment. To win there and to beat Tracy Hines and Ryan Newman and whoever else was there, but it was just winning races at them places was a great feeling.
And I've talked to a number of drivers that ended up in IndyCar, and I said, "How'd you like Winston?" Winchester scared the hell out of me.
Well, I got to admit, it did that. But
And when you're in a sprint car, that thing moves. I mean, they were fast.
Yeah,
holy smoke.
800, 900 horsepower around Winchester is, Tracy Hines also broke the track record on one of those days that I won the feature, and it was the first time anybody without a wing had went under 14 seconds. I think he went a 13.9 something qualifying, so I think his averaged like 141 mile an hour there. So that it's on tight corners and bumpy straightaways, and it's a hair-raising experience.
And a short wall in the backstretch and a bunch of trees.
Yeah.
And I've seen more than one car over the fence and into the trees.
Yeah, luckily it wasn't me, but
Yeah.
it is something you gotta, it just gets your attention. Seeing those trees flash by, and it just over them rough spots into 1 out of 4, and into, it's quite an experience to drive a sprint car around Winchester.
Now, during your career, you have had a real job. I remember you worked for some electric company or something at one time for a while.
I did at one time.
Yeah, and so you do know what going to work in the morning is like.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
I used to work for Mike Jarvis that owned the Franklin Power.
Yeah.
Worked for him up there at the Gresham Air Force Base for 8 or 9 years, and but he sold his businesses back like in 04, 05, and I lost that job when
Oh, that wasn't
they
nice.
didn't want me with the deals.
Is being a professional race car driver today a good thing to aim for? I mean, you've done it for a lot of years and done very well. But if some young kid or some parent come and said, "My son wants to be a race driver," what would you tell him?
Well, have a plan B. Yeah, it's not easy, that's for sure, being, making a living driving sprint cars, but my wife does have a full-time job and has had for, forever, so that certainly is required too, because I couldn't raise a family on one race car driver income unless I'd have to step it up a little.
What, you would have to run 175 races a year?
Well, I don't want to do that either. I don't want to. I'm about maxed out on the amount of fun I can have in 1 year. So,
Yeah, well,
but I do love driving race cars, but as your question before, I didn't really answer. But the dirt tracks would be I definitely like dirt track racing the most. But I do miss some of the pavement tracks and some of the pavement racing that we did.
did you ever run at Salem?
Yeah, I won 3 midget races and 1 sprint car race at Salem in my life.
And that's a real nice place to race too.
Yeah, it's similar to Winchester, just not the same.
And the last time I was there, it looked like it had they dug holes in the track. It was rough.
It was getting rough. I know the last few times I ran there was like peeling up. There'd be chunks of asphalt, concrete, asphalt peeling up, and it was getting rough. Yeah.
Oh boy. Huh. Oh, I don't know. I think I've missed, when you got the chance to test to get a license for the Indy cars, and I think Ron Helmelgarn ran the program, if I'm not mistaken. You got your rookie test and you passed it, and I'm thinking, good, Dave will get at least a few races, and it just never happened. I was really disappointed because I think, as Brian Clausen showed, it can be done. You can make it happen, and I think you would have been an outstanding one to have been elevated to that degree, to at least instead of run 16 races a year as opposed to 100, and probably make less money. So never mind.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they make, but I would have liked to have done some IndyCar racing, but as you mentioned, Brian Clausen did well, and there was a dozen other guys did a pretty good job with Donnie Beechler. I mean. Steve Kinzer and Jack Hewitt, they all got to, run a few races. But if I was ever able to put together a deal to do the Indy 500, I would certainly enjoy that. But, back when I got my license, I probably should have pushed the issue a little bit more, tried to find the fundings and try to find the sponsors to make it happen, but I just never did, and wasn't really.
Didn't have the time.
Didn't have the time, but just wasn't really wasn't really the top priority.
Has anybody spoken to you, inquired of you lately in the last 3 or 4 years? Would you be interested if something happened? Has anybody said anything to you about it?
Yeah, they have.
Well, good. So there is a possibility, maybe.
Yeah. John Andretti, he's been asking me to try to get something put together, and if I'd be interested if he helped me. But, the last couple of years, though, with it being the 99th running and then the 100th running and then the 101st running, those were all, ones that were kind of out of reach for me because, everybody wanted to run, especially the 100th anniversary and then the 100th running and then the 101st. So, but now that it's down to 102nd, maybe I'll be talked about again.
Well, maybe John will. I understand John's doing quite well.
Yeah, John is trying to help me, so hopefully we can.
Well, he's doing well. He's coming along. That's good to hear. That would be nice, I think. Would anybody here be interested in seeing Dave at the Speedway?
Yep. I would enjoy that.
Has anybody got an extra $1.5 million or $2 million? It's just. Oh, I know Howdy does. Yeah, Howdy's got it. I forgot. I didn't see him hiding behind the camera there.
Yeah.
I did. Well, so much for the light. Now I can see him.
He's saving his $1 million.
What happened to the light? Oh, I guess we don't need it. I'm still bright. Yeah, but that one just went out.
Yeah, that one right there, it went out. So.
Have you dreamt about going south like some of your compatriots have done, like Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon and guys that have had success in the short tracks, open wheel, and went to IndyCar after gone south? Have you ever dreamt about, geez, I'd like to run NASCAR?
Oh, a little bit. And again, it's not really a priority of mine. Sprint car racing is what I like to do. I wish I could make more money doing sprint car racing, but that's just the way it is, I guess. But the going south, I haven't really pushed that issue much either. I mean, I should have. Back when I was just too. Again, at the wrong age. By the time Tony Stewart and those guys started going to NASCAR, I was a little too old. They didn't want the the old guys. They wanted the 17, 18, 20-year-old guys that had some money too. So, but it's just I did get to run an ARCA car down at Daytona one time too. So I got to make laps at Daytona in an ARCA car. That was a blast, and I cherished that moment. And but yeah, just not really super interested in going down there.
Good.
Yeah. Yep. I just love sprint car racing. It's what I was put on earth to do, I think.
What is it about when you strap into a race car? I mean, obviously you're there to win, and you've done that quite well over the years.
Yeah.
But what kind of a feeling do you get physically and mentally when you get strapped into a car? You got your helmet on, your gloves on, you're ready. What's it like when you're out taking the warm-up laps and you're waiting for the green? What do you feel?
Oh, it just depends on where I start and who starts beside me. There's just a lot of things that go through your mind, really. But and it just varies a lot on what race it is. If it's 30,000 win race or a 1,000 win race, that changes the thinking. But
did you hear that, Howdy? It makes a difference how much they pay. Oh, okay.
But once it goes green, though, you don't think about how much it pays to win or anything. Just out there to do the best you can, and hopefully it's something good. But just those are the things you think about when you're preparing for a race. Where you're starting, and just who's there, and what it pays to win.
Are you happy with some of the changes that have been made in the last 6-8 months with the cars as a result of some very unfortunate incidents? But are you happy to see that the changes are finally, people are waking up and say, if you just do this or you just do that, you can keep a driver going to the next race?
Yeah, it is unfortunate. I just got to, it's been a, part of the whole history of sprint car racing has been a big part of the whole sprint car racing history. So it is just something you got to deal with, and deal with it. Everybody deals with it in their own way, and just got to go when it's time to race again. Just got to go put that out of your mind and go do your job.
Yeah, but I had Bill Simpson in here, and he was all upset that such a simple fix could have kept a driver still here, but they didn't do it. Now, of course, that's changed. So it looks like some of the things that you need to protect you are now starting to come into play. That's good. That's good to know. It's got to make you feel a little better, too.
Yeah. Yep, I certainly respect Bill and his I still use Simpson products today. Back when Bill ran that company, and then when he switched that and went to Impact, I followed him there, but then went back to Simpson when Bill sold Impact. But Bill's been a friend of mine for a long time, and he certainly been a big influence on safety. And I appreciate him being so dedicated to us.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that are talking because of the stuff that he's done over the years.
Yes.
And, of course, it got him into the International Motorsports Hall of Fame, so other people recognize it as well.
Yeah, we've all been, had a lot less injuries because of Bill's, influence.
I trust you will be out for Turkey Night again, as always. You've run that several times.
Yeah, Turkey Night, I'm, midget racing right now. I don't really have anything secure, but the sprint car races out there, the Western World in Phoenix and in the Oval Nationals at Paris, I do have rides lined up for those, and looking forward to that.
Is there a difference in racing in California than here? I mean, is there a style difference, or are the drivers? I've heard guys that come here and said, "Wow, this is different than what we do in California." Do you find that when you go out there, you have to adjust Dave Darland a little bit, or can you compete as you do normally?
Well, I just do the same thing I always do, just drive the car as hard as I can and try to stay out of trouble. But out there you got just another batch of 8 or 10 pretty tough competitors, and another 8 or 10 squirrels you got to deal with.
I see. Are you saying that some of them are a little nuts?
Well, yep, I said that in my book. Sometimes you can't tell the squirrels from the nuts.
It's a privilege for me to be able to have a program like this, and there's talk shows on, but they're on the radio. I mean, you can be in a bathtub. Well, you better not be with a cell phone, but you have to do this program. You got to come here, and to get you to take the time to come here, I really appreciate it. And that people that come, and I've always enjoyed having you here, and I'm glad that you were able to take the time tonight to come and do it.
Yeah, you're welcome, Don, and privileged to come down and talk to you again. And I know you've had this show going for quite a few years now, and I've done it in the past.
As long as you've been driving.
Have you?
I've been doing. I think I've been here 26 or 27 years.
Wow.
So,
well, congratulations.
Yeah, and I had hair when I started.
Did you? Where'd it all go? Was it under the table?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's under the table. I keep looking.
Got a good-looking crowd out there again tonight. Place is pretty packed, and I recognize most of them. So.
Well.
Even a few Dave Darland shirts in the crowd.
Yeah, see that?
And I'm surprised they let him in.
Yeah. He came in on his hands and knees, and I didn't know why until he stood up. Oh, no wonder.
Yeah.
The people don't come to see me. Bill came to see you. Mike came to see you. They came to see you. And we're happy to have you. Thanks for coming. And I want to thank Dick again for making it happen. When he sees my name on it, he goes, now what the hell does he want? Or more to the point, who does he want? I thank you. Good luck this weekend, and good luck for the rest of the season. I hope to see another half a dozen or so wins for you.
Thank you, Don. Like I say, we picked it up. I've won 7 races on the summer of this year so far now, and 5 of them has been within the last 2 months or 6 weeks. So it's been going great here lately, and hopefully it continues throughout this year and for the next 25 years.
Oh, boy. Well, good luck, and show these kids what can happen when you got a race car.
Thank you. Good talking to you.
Thanks for being here. And remember, the man is now a member of the Sprint Car Hall of Fame, Dave Darland. We will be, Oh, I was just told that Dave was just inducted into the Wausau Hall of Fame as well. Jeez Louise. All right. I've got some other goodies to promote, but next week we will be here. I've got my eye on a couple of drivers, but I will get that confirmed when they go out to Sonoma and see who we can weed through. Well, we will be here. I want to thank everybody for showing up, for coming here. I want to thank Dave for being here, and, of course, Anthony. I hope he's still around somewhere. He's right behind me. Is he selling pretzels or something? Oh, no. Okay. Well, thank him for coming as well and wish him nothing but the best in his coming season. Same with Dave. So until next week, if you want to know who the guests are, you go to autosportradio.com and click on the Autosport Show tab, and it'll tell you when I got a guest. I'll put it up there. Or if you're one of my Facebook people or autosportradio.com Facebook page, the guests will be there thanks to my IT genius who knows how to put pictures up because I don't know yet. But anyway, until next week, I want to thank everybody for being here. And you're cordially invited to the annual Indiana Racing Memorial Association fundraiser. I'll have to purchase your ticket. I'll have to get more information, read this because I just got handed it, and we'll pass it out. But it's on October 19th, on Thursday the 19th, at the Sexton's Cars of Yesteryear Museum, located at 131 West 22nd Street between Capitol, Illinois, and downtown Indianapolis. We'll have more information on this upcoming and let you know about it. Maybe you want to get out there. Again, thanks everybody for watching, for listening. Till next week, good night.